Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We have Alejandro Moreno, Stevie Nicol, Nedum Onuoha and Frank Leboeuf, who has been combing his beard in preparation for tonight's show.
Oh, yes, I have it always with me, you know, because, well, I can't do that. It will be useless, you know, so
we're wasting time
I like
there.
doing that. You know?
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Brian, you got some food in the corner. You got a bit of food stuck in the corner.
Oh, sure. Over there.
Yeah.
He's had an egg sandwich during the break, didn't he?
Maybe that's what he was getting out of there.
Of all the things he could have eaten.
Yeah, scrambled egg sandwich. Never do that with a beard, Frank. Never.
What is your favourite sandwich,
I
Frank?
won't, I will never.
I don't think you heard me. What's your favourite sandwich, Frank?
Oh, my favorite sandwich. A simple one, you know, with ham and cheese. Easy. Okay. With a nice French baguette.
Very French.
Very nice.
That would be jambon fromage.
Exactement. Jambon beurre fromage. Jambon beurre with a little bit of butter. Well done. Bravo.
Hold on. You can't. Frank, you're far too healthy, man. You got to go for the sausage, bacon, and egg with a mug of tea. Come on. Sausage, bacon, and a fried egg.
You all right, Steve?
No, I know.
Stevie or a sandwich?
No, but every Sunday we have a brunch with my wife. We have eggs and bacon, but not in a sandwich. No, we don't. No,
beans.
We have the bread on the side.
Beans, fried potatoes.
Beans. No, we're not English. Come on. No.
I feel like I have to ask everyone now, quickly.
I'm British.
Nedum, what's your favourite sandwich?
I'd probably say a Reuben. It's my one.
Nice.
Wow.
No, I don't like Reuben, no.
Stylish.
No.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Nedum. I'll take a Reuben as well.
Of course.
But it's all, you know, that the dressing, the Russian dressing has to be right. It can't be overbearing. It can't make the bread soggy, right? It has to be there to add value, not to take away from the sandwich. That's all I'm saying.
All the important questions on
But
tonight's
Ali,
show.
what do you do with the bread? What do you do with the bread, Ali? If you have a bread from France, that will taste differently. That's the thing.
I'm not quite sure what that has to do with my sandwich, but...
All right, let's get on to the actual question,
the
shall we?
sandwich is made... Well, the bread... Yeah, I'll go for the question, because he doesn't like bread. He only wants dressing. He doesn't...
Stevie, do you think that Liverpool will be able to reach the Champions League positions this season, or will they be playing in the Europa or Conference League in 23-24?
Well, you'd have to say the odds are that it's looking like the Europa or the Conference, isn't it? I mean, the odds are. And that's
The
not
odds,
to
but
say that,
what does your heart tell you?
Yeah, Europa Conference.
What does your head tell you?
I got that the wrong way around, didn't I? Sorry. Yeah, my heart tells me yes, Champions League, but my head tells me Conference and Europa.
All right.
You don't want any part
I
of
don't want
Conference
any
League.
part of any of them.
For Frank, is Neymar being ruled out against them the best thing to happen to them? PSG seems to not play well in the important games with Mbappe and Neymar in the team. This is obviously for the Bayern game, Frank.
Well, you know, the last time they played without Neymar was last week against Marseille. And I have to say that Mbappe and Messi have been outstanding. The guy in the middle of the park worked very well together. I found a very balanced team. So I have to say that it was a very good news for PSG and Galtier that Neymar didn't play. Is that because of him not being here that they play better? That I don't have the answer, and that has to be confirmed. But I have to tell you, if they play the way they play against Marseille, with the crazy Mbappe, a fantastic Mbappe, and a very smart Messi, Bayern Munich can be in danger, because it's not the PSG they played in the first time, for sure.
What are your thoughts on this, Neymar being ruled out?
I think it resolves an issue for Gaultier. It really does. You don't have to worry about making a big decision. The decision has been made for you, and now it's just a matter of finding a sense, and I say this knowing full well that I'm talking about PSG and how far off they are from having balance, but finding a sense of balance behind Messi and Mbappe, so that then you can go on the attack knowing that you're not just fully stretched and fully exposed. Discipline and balance for PSG is not something that we say all the time, but you have a better chance of doing that without Neymar on the field.
Okay, they're going to the Allianz Arena. They're trailing 1-0. Have you got PSG going through?
If Neymar plays, no.
No, he's not playing.
So they've got a chance. As Frank says, if they can have 8 behind Mbappe and Messi, chasing and harrying and tackling and fighting and biting and whatever it takes, they've got a chance. But if Neymar's playing as well, no, forget that.
Can I change my sandwich answer? I just thought about it. Pulled pork barbecue sandwich. That is my favorite.
Good choice. But on French bread, it would be even better.
No, well, no, it doesn't have to be French bread.
It would be better.
From Lexington Barbecue in North Carolina. That's where it's at.
Can I just say as well?
It has to be French bread, Ali. It has to be French bread.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, the egg on my sandwich can't be too runny, or else it goes all over you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so it's important that.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
These are the important factors. Ale, why aren't more clubs deploying a centre-back at right-back to man-mark Vini like how Xavi does?
Because not every centre back.
Xavi doesn't have a choice.
Well, that one thing, but because not every centre back has the sort of speed that Ronald Araujo has, and Ronald Araujo is not afraid of Vini Jr. For centre backs, would be really uncomfortable to get out there and have to cover space. Most centre backs would be uncomfortable doing that. Ronald Araujo doesn't seem to be uncomfortable doing it. In fact, I think he, unlike most defenders, looks forward to the challenge. And that's the first thing that you have to do, that you have to be looking forward to this as a challenge that you want to take on. Secondly, you have to have the speed to keep up with Vini Jr. And then third, you got to be willing to get close enough to Vini Jr. to let him know that you're a physical presence.
Would you fancy the challenge of taking him on, Stevie?
Absolutely.
A-Day?
Aye. No
But
danger.
all right. All right.
Because, by the way, you had the pace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the brains.
But do you genuinely love those challenges, though, when you're coming up against players like that?
You genuinely love when the final whistle goes and you go, you know what, I never gave him a kick.
Right.
Because you know that from the first minute to the last minute, regardless of having them under control, you know they're capable of. So you don't get too cocky until the whistle goes, and then you can celebrate.
And then it's a nice one. All right, Nedum, thoughts on QPR having their third manager in a season? Will they ever make it back up?
Wow.
Will they ever? I think they will. I think obviously 3 managers in the season isn't great, but they've brought in someone who did play for the club, who is a club legend, and he just needs to steady the ship and give the fans a little bit of hope, because I think they were top on October 1st, and now they've won 2 games since that point, so I think they're only 8 points above the relegation zone, so things aren't going in the right direction, but I think they found the right guy. I think they've been crying out for him for the last few years, but he's been unavailable because he's been, I think it was at Wickham, so it's not great, but then again, it's distinctly QPR. I think at some point they'll be up. I think they'll get the chance to go up, because apart from, say, the top 3 now, most of the squads down there, the players are kind of the same, except they just have a nice bit of form, and as a consequence, they can push up through the league. So I wouldn't bet against QPR in the long term, but for the short term, I think they need to just try and steady that ship.
Stevie revealed himself to be a huge Miley Cyrus fan last week. What surprising artists do you listen to, Frank? It has to surprise us. It can't be just like, oh, okay, yeah, everybody listens to them.
Wow. I like The Weeknd. I like the band, well, The Weeknd. I love the way the guy sings, moves, and everything. So yeah, I'm kind of a fan of The Weeknd.
Nice.
Well, I could say many country artists that may surprise you, given the fact that I grew up nowhere near the culture, but it is something that I'm a big fan of. But I'll go beyond that. I said an individual song, or a version of a song, Sound of Silence by Disturbed. It's a heavy metal band. And it's a song, actually, that Stevie shared with me. And it may surprise you. The other songs that they sing are quite loud, I should say. But this version of Sound of Silence by Disturbed is outstanding.
It's very nice.
Very powerful.
Nedum, can you surprise us?
I can do, actually. So I can raise you disturbed and talk about when I was younger. I used to play bass guitar, so I used to listen to people like Korn. So I am very much into that. But then in the same breath, the artist I'm into at the moment, which is really weird, is Harry Styles. I think his last album's amazing. So yeah, I bop along to that on a day-to-day basis. Hold my hands up.
Do you know what? Back at Real Madrid, we used to do interviews with the players on this series, and we'd ask them to pick their favourite song, and it would do the backing of their interview. And Gonzalo Higuain picked Miley Cyrus' The Climb, and everybody was so stunned, and that's what he chose.
Wow.
So there you go. There's one for you. All right, for all.
Is it Jimi Hendrix next to? Is it Jimi Hendrix next to Nedum?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the picture.
But
It is.
that's not as much of a surprise, right? It's, you know, it's Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
See it every day.
But
Yeah,
it's Jimmy.
of course.
all right.
Legend.
For all, start, bench, or drop in their primes. Vidic, Kompany, Van Dijk. Oh, Stevie.
Ooh.
Go on, son.
Well, I would have to say, wow. In their prime.
In their prime.
That's tough. I'll tell you what I was going to say, right? I was going to put Vidic and Kompany ahead of Van Dijk because of the longevity. I mean, both Vidic and Kompany were there for, what, 7, 8 seasons? Which Van Dijk hasn't.
Yeah.
But Van Dijk at his very best. Oh boy, I'll tell you what, Van Dijk at his very best.
You okay, Stevie?
No, this is a tough one.
Do you want to have a little think about it while Nedum answers?
This is really.
All right,
I think
Nedum.
this is really tough.
Nedum's mates in there as well in Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, because all three of them, they didn't necessarily play at the same sort of time, so you can see how they sort of feed off each other. But I would say, for me, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say Vincent Kompany to probably start. But I'll say that just because when he first came to City, he was a defensive midfielder and he cost about, I think, £6 million. So for him to all of a sudden have a statue outside the stadium and to have helped change that football club, I think he deserves a lot of credit. So I'm just going to do that. And then in terms of bench, I think Van Dijk's incredible, and I think he's got the potential to be as dogged as Vidic is, but he has that little bit extra in terms of being on the ball. So I would unfortunately have to sell Vidic, and this is where my Man United flipping league pass now goes out the window. So I apologise to all United fans, but that's my order.
Stevie?
I would probably say Kompany and Van Dijk. Football-wise, had a bit more than Vidic. But I mean, you talk about a competitive centre-back who would take care of anybody. Vidic. I mean, he was a giant.
So who you start
Right, it's between Kompany and Van Dijk. I'm going to give Van Dijk the edge for one reason only. Lifting the Champions League.
Okay.
I'm going to separate them by that.
All right.
But great, that's a brilliant question. That's tough.
There you go. The bladder. That's a good question. Last question. Nedum, every time the camera cut to Ten Hag during Wednesday's Manchester United versus West Ham FA Cup match, we could see you in the background having the time of your life. Yes, we did, by the way. We all commented on this too.
We saw you smiling.
Where do you have the most fun? At Manchester United matches, at Man City matches, or on ESPN FC Extra Time?
Oh, here we go.
Well, it's a loaded question. It's clearly extra time. But in terms of that United seat,
of course.
I don't realise how much of a hot seat it is until people send me pictures. And I just happened to be smiling because I was talking about other things and just really taking in what they were saying and very much engaged with the atmosphere. So no, I'm not laughing at Man United because every time I go there, they win. So realistically, what situation is that? That should be hell for me. But yeah, it goes extra time, then Man City because I tend to sit somewhere warmer, and then Man United. But yeah, get a chance to see one of the best managers in the world at the moment. So yeah, I think that's my order for the three.
Wise choice.
Should we ask him what the subject of the conversation was?
I thought he was looking at memes even. I thought you looked at your phone in that footage, which made me wonder if you were getting some memes laughing about the team.
I was laughing at the pictures of myself being sent to me, sitting there looking all moody with Ten Hag behind. Like, I was watching the game, but yeah, it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. I guess I made it. My 2 minutes of fame, whatever it is, 5 minutes.
What's a meme? What's a meme?
We've got to go.
She's sitting there going, you're getting memes. I'm like,
We've got to go and explain what they are to Stevie.
I mean, somebody's sending you jokes.
Well, that's for a different extra time.
That's for another extra
So they just
time.
got memes now.
That's for next time's extra time. Yeah. See you
Oh,
then.
memes. I've got
We'll
loads
talk
of
memes, football, and answer all your questions on extra time. And join us every day for ESPN FC.
So a meme, Stevie.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.